Hello, my name is Russ, and today I want to be showing some cool things that you can do with logic gates in Minecraft. So I've been learning about logic gates recently, and a cool little thing about them is you can recreate every single Boolean operator, which is what logic gates are, using purely Nand gates. Um, in Boolean algebra, this is also called the Sheffer stroke. Um, and every single one of these, such as not, and, or, XOR, nor, sorry, you got those mixed up, and nexor, can be created using entirely just NAND. And I wanted to see if this worked in Minecraft, which obviously it did, but I also wanted to see if there was any practical applications of this, such as creating a bit adder and potentially working on creating a computer, although I am very far from getting to that point. Okay, so first and foremost, what I wanted to go over are just the simple logical gates, and then go over how they can be implemented using NAND in Minecraft. I do want to go ahead and make the disclaimer, I claim none of these as my own creations, especially these over here. I haven't seen anybody using purely NAND gates for logical operators in Minecraft, but I'm sure somebody has before. So I do want to make the disclaimer, I don't claim any of these. I haven't found any videos or anything or anybody talk about this, but if these designs are out there, please don't yell at me. Anyways, let's go ahead and go over this. So simple input, you turn the lever on and the light turns on. Next we have not. It simply does the opposite of whatever the input does. So for this instance, the lever is off, so the light is on. Oops. And then if we turn the lever on, the light turns off. This is the logical AND. The way that this works is the light will only turn on if both of the levers are on. And here's what that looks like. The next one we have is OR. It's very simple. If one or both of these are on, then the light turns on. Next we have NAND. This is not AND. Basically, this is just the opposite of AND. The light is on whenever one of these is off, and then whenever both of them are on, the light turns off. This, I accidentally deleted the sign earlier. This is NOR. So what this does is, so long as both of these are off, the light will be on. So it's kind of the opposite of this, where both of them had to be on for it to be off. Both of these have to be off for it to be on. Otherwise, it'll be off. This is the XOR. This is the exclusive OR. So the way that this works is if one is on, then the light will turn on. But if both are on, the light turns off. All the rest of these are pretty simple to work on and kind of understand how they work. This one and the next OR, which is the not XOR, not exclusive OR gate, which basically just works the opposite way. If both of them are in the same position, the light will be on. If they're in different positions, it'll be off. These are a little bit more complicated, but they're still decently simple. And there are definitely better alternatives to these using more complicated redstone, but I just wanted to stick with simple dust, levers, and torches for this. And then lamps obviously just to make it look pretty. But let's look at how it works using NAND gates. So the NAND gate, let's go ahead and look over how it works in Minecraft. You have these two torches here, a redstone dust in the middle. Whenever one of them is powered, the torch turns off, but because the other torch is still on, the dust is still powered, and that works for both sides. So the only way for the dust to turn off is for both sides to lose power. So how do we use this? Well, let's say we want to make a knot. Knot, again, only has one input, and then it'll be the opposite. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. One input, and it'll be the opposite. So we have our one input here. We have it go into both inputs of the NAND, and then it'll do whatever the opposite of that is, whatever the opposite of the input is. Next we have our AND. So basically for this we have a NAND gate going directly into a NOT. You can see the output of these are connected into make a single input for this NAND over here. So that way it only turns on whenever both of them are flipped. Next, over here we have the OR, and these do get much larger rather quickly than their regular counterparts. Again, this is not the best way to do this. This is simply a stupid, fun, little, silly way to do it. So, or you turn either one on and it turns on. And the way that this effectively works is you are canceling out, you're negating. We have two nots right here and then a NAND right over here. So you negate the inputs and then you uh, put them through another NAND. Here we just have a regular NAND. For this one I just want to demonstrate there are ways to make them smaller. I have them with 3 blocks just for keeping them simple, but you can make them smaller. It just gets more complicated, and you run the risk of it potentially not really being a NAND, in my opinion. So I wanted to be better safe than sorry and continue to use these thick NANDs. This is one we're going to use a little bit. Sorry, no, the next one's one we're going to use a lot. This one we use a little bit. So this is the NOR. Basically, it's the OR, and then we have a NOT at the end here to cancel it out. So that's pretty simple. Basically, just copy the NOT and then copy the OR and then throw a NOT at the end over there. Next, we have the XOR. This is one we do use a lot. This one is actually very similar to the circuit diagram. All of these are based off the circuit diagrams for these circuits made out of NAND gates for regular circuit diagrams, which I will show later, so that way you can see how this compares to real life, because this is a Minecraft application of real world technology. So it's a little funky to explain it. It gets a little bit of, basically right here is one NAND gate, and then here's another NAND that feeds off of the output of this first one and the input of, we'll call this A, and then there's another NAND which feeds off of the output of that main one and feeds off of input B, and then these two come together into this final NAND which triggers the lamp. Alright, and then finally we have XNOR. Did I call it a different name over there? I did, oops. This is XNOR. This is essentially just our NOR, or XOR gate, sorry, just with a little NOR or NOT at the end over there. Pretty simple. And these are the logic gates done entirely out of NAND gates in Redstone. Okay, so I've gone ahead and opened a simulation program called LogSim. What this does is it serves to do simulate Boolean logic using logic gates. Here we have them over on the side over here, but what we're focused on right now are just looking at these simple gates replicated using entirely NAND gates. That's what this little kind of half circle with a dot at the end is we can click on these and we can see it update in real time. So we can just look at these, and we can see that they act exactly how they do in Minecraft, which is wonderful to see. And all of these can be proven mathematically using Boolean algebra, although that's not really within the scope of this video. And there's other videos and other people that could definitely do a much better job of explaining it than me. But again, this is just to prove that this is logically and mathematically feasible. Okay, so staying within LogSim, the next thing that we're going to look at is what's called an adder. This is something I've been toying with a little bit. This is actually how computers do math, is at a very small scale they have these logic gates thousands, trillions of times, what have you. But at the basic level, this is what all they are, and this is how computers in Minecraft, if you've seen other videos talking about them, operate. Down here are the two basic adders, and what they do, this is called a half adder. It just takes in two numbers. So you see we have A and B. This is using doing binary addition. If we have A and B, this is called the carry digit. But other people can do a much better job of explaining this than I can. Bat Wings, I believe his name is, does a wonderful, has a lot of videos talking about this and going very into depth. He's a wonderful source for this type of information. But basically what this does is if one of them goes using, this is the XOR, which we looked at earlier, and then this is the AND. If one of them is on, then the XOR will go. If both of them are on, then the XOR doesn't go, but the AND does go. And this is just like if you're adding, let's say, 9 plus 1, right? Let's say this A is the 9 and the B is the 1. If we're just doing one of them by themselves, it'll still be one digit. But if we add both of them, we have to carry the 1 because it's a 10. And then this is called a full adder. What this does is you can see it operates right here the exact same as the half adder, but with the addition of this carry in. What this is we can chain this with the C out from the half adder or even from another full adder, and it adds it so we can add up to 3 numbers at once. And this just helps us with, this is for carrying digits. So if we chain these together, we can see here this is a 4-bit adder. It adds 2 4-bit numbers and then outputs up to a 5-bit output. So the way that this works is you have A1, A2, A4, and A8. Same for B, and then the same for the X. In this case, the X is the output. So let's say we wanted to add 5 plus 10, right? So we have 1 and 4 makes 5, and then 2 and 8 makes 10. If we add all of these together, we can see 2 plus 8 is 10, 4 plus 1 is 5, 5 plus 10 is 15, which is exactly what we would expect. And if you look look really closely between these, it's a bit of a mess. You can see how these are implemented. We have right here is a half adder. A lot of people do full adders. I decided just for simplicity's sake to do a half adder for this first segment here, and that handles the ones. Right here we have a full adder, which will handle the 2s, another full adder, sorry about that, another full adder that handles the 4s, and this last one that handles the 8s. And you can see the C out from each of these goes into the C in of the next one. And you can stack these on for as much as you want. You can bring these up to 4 bits, which would be 1 byte, which could handle numbers from 0 to 255. Or you could do even larger, such as modern computers will be x86, where they will have 64-bit adders, which are numbers in the easily well within the billions, which is probably not something I'm going to be doing anytime soon in Minecraft using NAND gates personally. The next thing we want to look at, I know this seems like a lot, is we're going to be looking at that exact same design entirely out of NAND gates. So, as we looked at earlier, we can create our basic logic gates out of NAND gates. So here, left to right, we have the AND gate, we have the OR, and we have the exclusive OR, the XOR. And we essentially just, from the exact same design as we had previously, is we just replace wherever one of those gates would be, is we replace it with its alternative out of NAND gates. So like here, this right here is that first half adder. This right here is going to be the first full adder. Here's the second full adder and the fourth. And then again, these output just as you would expect. And it works, it's logically identical, just much sillier and less efficient. Now, how does this apply to Minecraft? Right over here, we have a half adder. Again, there's going to be designs that use modern redstone, such as comparator, repeaters, repeater locking, hoppers, pistons, etc. I wanted to keep it simple and stick entirely with redstone dust and redstone torches for this. So this is our half adder. Here we have our exclusive OR, and then we have our AND. If we turn both of them on, then you see that one turns off and our C out turns on. If we only have one of them on, then our output turns on, and if we have neither of them on, nothing is on. This is our full adder, and I have tried to color code these. The yellow represents the XOR, the purple represents the AND, and then the green is just for transporting wires. And you can't see it right here, but this is effectively an OR. I forgot to mention it earlier, but because you don't really need any blocks for OR using simple redstone, I decided not to color it. So you can see that this works exactly like the other one with these two. It's a bit far away there. But then if we go ahead and turn on our CN, you can see that one stays on. If we have this would effectively be 1 plus 1 is 2. Again, 1 plus 1 is 2. And then 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 1 plus 2, or 3. Now, converting, as we did earlier, from basic logic gates to NAND gates, over here we have them made out of entirely NAND. So here you can see this is our XOR gate. So we have a NAND here, NAND, then there's our and we can see, sorry, I had one on from earlier testing. You can see that we have, that they work perfectly normal like the other ones do, like the regular ones do. And then over here, we have the full ladder. So the only addition here is going to be this OR over here, but it operates off the same principle. So that one turns on, that one turns on again, flip them both, that turns on. If we flip our CN, it operates identically, just it is a lot larger. This is not efficient, but it's funny. So over here is our full 4-bit adder. So down here we have our inputs. We have 1, 2, 4, 8. Go and turn these off. Plus 1, 2, 4, 8, and then these are going to be our outputs. So we can see right here we have our half adder, and then here is the C out, goes directly into the C in of a full adder over here. These right here are the outputs. Those go underground and then pop back up over here. So there's the 1, the 2, the 4, the 8, and then the 16. And again, here is the second full adder, here is the third full adder, and then here is the fourth. So if we go ahead and flip these levers, let's just flip a few random ones. It takes a little bit of time. It does have a bit of a delay. So in this instance, we are adding 5 plus 5. Very riveting math here. And we get 10, which is exactly what we'd expect. Now let's go ahead and add another 2 to that. So that would be 7 plus 5, which is going to be 12. And if we flip all of them on, we get a bit of a boring result, as all of these last 4 turn on except for the 1. Because this would be 15 plus 15 is, let's see, 16 plus 4 is 20, 8 plus 2 is 10, so 20 plus 2 is going to be 30, which is exactly what we'd expect. Now, I will say, I feel like I keep repeating this, this is not efficient. I do not want to say that this is going to be some revolution in Minecraft computer technology. This is not. I do want to see if I can develop a full computer using this type of using this type of design. How efficient it would be, how slow it would be. But unfortunately, I'm very bad at redstone. I don't entirely know what I'm doing with it. Which is one of the main reasons why I've stuck to keeping it simple, and I only use, for example, I only use repeaters for keeping the signal strength going. But I know there's a lot of things that can be done to make this more efficient. For example, this can definitely be shrunk. I do have it expanded somewhat for ease of trying to make it look prettier, make it look better for to look at. And I believe that making this a full adder and then stacking these up would make this very easily expandable. The specifics of that I would have to work out and I'd have to work with it, but I think that would be a wonderful way to make this expandable and be able to use it in an actual device. But as this is my first real attempt at this, and also I'd have to work on creating a decoder and probably an encoder. Encoder for the number output, I apologize. But as this is my first real redstone design that I've tried to work on personally, aside from a few not very well made redstone doors, I'm still learning, and I would love any advice or tips or um, things that y'all think could make this work better, or any ideas on how to improve this. I would in general just love to hear y'all's opinion on this, see if y'all have seen any other similar projects to this in the past. And I will continue to work on this every now and then, here and there, see what else I can make, see if it is actually possible to create anything of real note, maybe make it an 8-bit adder so that way you can actually do more complicated math other than up to 15 plus 15, which isn't terribly difficult. But it would be interesting to see the applications of this, where this can go, and really what all is possible. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.